reason. This is vindication for a lot of people who have really suffered. You know, the I can't breathe. You know, that wasn't just George Floyd. That was a lot of people that felt that they couldn't breathe.
The election of President Obama was a great moment for this country. And now we stand 2 months away from all of that disappearing. And as an African American, as an openly gay man, and as an American, that frightens me.
They sold out their country, their community, their souls, their balls, their manhood, all to carry water for the Democrat Party.
Officer Fanone, I'm going to try to get through this. Thank you for what you did 3 years ago today. Please tell me your thoughts on this third anniversary.
What has happened to the men? Why are the men crying? Why don't these men have any backbone? Why don't these men have any balls? What has happened to the black man? The Democrat black man has turned into some kind of girl. Oh my God, Amania, that would be some sort of racist homosexual jokes you're making there. That's not good. That's not good. Hello and welcome to The Conservative Poet. My name is Amania. Here on the channel, I do reaction videos, political commentary. I throw humor, parody into that, sometimes some skits as well, because I like to drive home the crazy with a little bit of comedy, because we need to be able to laugh at what we're seeing, because if not, we're going to straight up be crying. So if this is something that interests you, then I welcome you to stay, and I would really appreciate it if you would communicate with it by either liking, commenting, sharing, or even subscribing if you feel like you can or you would like to. So thank you so much, and I'll see you in there. I really feel that men are truly being feminized in the current climate that we're in. I mean, when you take a gentleman like Van Jones, who, by the way, has a famous name, Crying Van, because he was crying. He crying Van. And when you take a man like that, who is obviously not really feminine in his physique or anything like that, yeah, I mean, I've never met him, but I'm like, yeah, that's all man right there. But when he opens up his mouth to really converse, you're like, yeah, Van, I don't know, friend. I think there might be something else there, because you can't look the way you do and you're whipping out tears when something don't go right or something don't go your way. You're literally out here crying. And that clip we saw of Crying Van was from when Joe Biden won election. I'm going to say that loosely, friends. I'm going to say that loosely. Won the 2020 election. I'm going to say that loosely. When Joe Biden won the 2020 election, that was Van Jones coming out here whining and crying. Well, maybe he wasn't whining. Well, yeah, he was whining. He was whining and crying, and how, you know, we have been vindicated. Things is working out now. I can talk to my kids in the morning now. I can be a good daddy now, because character matters, you know. A man's way matters. And so, yeah, George Floyd matters. And so, yeah. So that was Crying Van 2020, after the winning election of Joe Biden. And you also saw our friend Johnathan Capehart, who is it Capehart or Capehart? Well, we're calling him Johnathan Copen. Johnathan Copen and Crying Van. That's who we're talking about today. Johnathan Copen and Crying Van. So you saw in the first clip, Jonathan Copen, that was 2 days, I think the next day maybe, after Trump won in 2016. And he was talking about how he's not sure, how the democracy is going to be overturned. And here I am, this gay black man in America. I was afraid for my life. I was afraid for what's going to happen to me in a Trump economy. I'm afraid of what's going to happen to me in a Trump America. So I'm going to just be coping. I'm going to be coping, man. I'm going to be coping. Because I don't know what's going to happen to me in a Trump America. And then Jonathan comes out here again and do the same crying thing. Back January 6th, he was out here yet again crying because now we's on the anniversary and it's so hard to talk about this because our democracy has been shattered in this country. Our democracy has been shattered in this country. And I don't know how I'm going to get through this here interview because I just don't know. Man, I know what you need, Jonathan. You need some more of that hammer up your boom, 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 boom. That's what you need. More of that hammer to man you up.
Can I ask you one last question? You are a gay, black Washington Post columnist and much celebrated. Is this your America? Are you worried that it may become another America?
That is a very powerful question, John, and it moves me almost into silence because the election of President Obama was a great moment for this country. And now we stand 2 months away from all of that disappearing. And as an African American, as an openly gay man, and as an American, that frightens me.
Lena, did you hear that? Can you give Jonathan Capehart some sort of reassurance that this is his America, just as it is your America?
I did.
You know Donald Trump.
Yes, John, let me address what you said because my heart goes out to you. And I want to assure you from my personal experience with Mr. Trump that he is a good man, that he is a capable man, and that he cares about all Americans, including you and your community. And as someone who will be in his corner going forward, I will be very careful to advocate and be sure that that is the case. And I'm sorry that I can feel your pain, and I'm with you.
Seen that, heard that, good. So this man here, Copen, Jonathan Copen, is afraid to be in America because he's black, he's homosexual, and he's black. And so therefore, it's going to be hard for him to be living in Donald Trump's America. This is what he is saying here. And this reporter is essentially, feeling so sorry for him, and he's pleading, and then the woman comes on and, oh, we're so sorry. I'm so sorry that you feel this way, but don't you worry. We're gonna make sure we take care of you because you're so fragile and you're so weak and you're so useless. We're gonna make sure that we don't hurt your feelings. We know how sensitive you are at this moment. We know how sensitive you are. Right? Because you have no strength, you have no balls, you have no backbone. And so here you are literally crying to the white man in reference to you being a gay black man in America and how Donald Trump's America is going to be bad for you and your community. This is America, man. Oh my God. I just can't understand these things. I just can't understand it. But what I really can't understand is the feminization of men like this. This guy is probably, not this feminine, not this, when you see him out on the street, he's probably a tough guy. But here on the TV, he's got to, oh yeah, I'm just a broken black homosexual who's afraid of Donald Trump's America. Oh, I'm just so afraid of Donald Trump's America. Oh man, I got more on him. I got more. Ladies and gentlemen, MSNBC anchor and host, Washington Post anchor, Jonathan Capehart. He's just coping with the Trump administration. This is what Capehart looks like. Weak, fragile, feminized man who, by the way, if you watch this channel, I covered him last week when he sat with Governor Hochul, Governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, when she said to his face, she sat there in an interview and said to her, she said, well, to him, I just said, you see that? That was not a fraudulent slip. Like, that was a fraudulent slip. Yeah. I referred to him as a her, but who knows? He might have her pronouns. I don't know. But in any event, Kathy Hochul said to him that black children in the Bronx or wherever in New York don't know what the word computer is. And I made the video talking about how can you as a black educated man sit there and listen to the white supremacist woman tell you to your black face, a black man, that little black kids, black children don't know what a computer is because I don't know why. They just don't know. But you sat there and you took it and no pushback, none of that. And you just sat there and you took it. So that's how we discovered this man. And then a video came out about January 6th. I said, wait a minute. That's my friend Capehart. Oh, he coping again. He out here crying over January 6th. And then I found this video of him crying when Donald Trump won the election. I said, my God, man, this guy has been carrying the Democrat water for some time, right? He has been doing this for some time. He was in business before Crying Van became Crying Van. This is the original Crying Capehart. This is the original Crying Capehart before Van even became Van. And these are the kinds of men that they bring out here as examples for the black man to relate to. And so what happens? The black man start to feminize himself so he can be like a Capehart. So he can be like this here Capehart. And that's what's happening. Black men being castrated, taking away their male strongness, and you end up with this fool. You end up with this Capehart fool.
This was the scene 3 years ago today when a violent mob instigated by a president who lost the 2020 election steps of the Capitol and desecrated its hallowed halls. Theirs was a failed attempt to overturn the results of a free and fair election. A failed attempt to disrupt a sacred tradition that has made American democracy a model for the world for 248 years.
I really like the way Jonathan Capehart puts it, that these are people who were a violent mob. Make sure he threw in that violent, but when it comes to the summer of love, where they were burning down cities, literally, there was no violence there. That was peaceful protest. But this incident, one day for about 1 hour, they can never let this go. It was violent. It was violent, right? And then it was trying to get in between the peaceful power transfer from Trump to Biden. And so Americans who did not agree with that, well, you can't talk about that. You can't say that. Well, that's not what it is. You're breaking tradition, 200 years of tradition. That's what you're doing if you say that this was not, if we didn't have issues with the election. You're standing against democracy if you say these things. Well, obviously, a lot of people felt that this was not right, and a lot of people expressed their First Amendment rights to say so. This is what America is all about. But it's just so funny how this, for them, was beyond anything. But January 6th was the worst thing. But the summer of love, it was just that, the summer of love.
In studio is Michael Fanone, former D.C. Metropolitan Police Officer, Courage for America Council member, and author of Hold the Line, The Insurrection and One Cop's Battle for America's Soul. Officer Fanone, I'm going to try to get through this. Thank you for what you did 3 years ago today. Please tell me your thoughts on this third anniversary.
We are still in the midst of the same fight that began on January 6th, 2021. And we have a lot at stake in this country. And I think that it deserves every American's attention.
Donald Trump continues to defend the insurrectionists, as he did at a rally in Iowa last night. Listen to this.
Those J6 hostages going to jail for 20 years and 18 years and 12 doctors, lawyers, carpenters, electricians, truck drivers. It's one of the saddest things. It'll go down as one of the saddest things in the history of our country. And they went there to protest a rigged election.
Officer Fanone, how damaging is it for Trump to label those violent rioters who were criminally charged and convicted as hostages? The man who attacked you with that stun gun was sentenced to more than 12 years in prison.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, you got to think about those individuals that received those lengthy sentences. They did so because, A, they engaged in an insurrection, but their actions that day were violent, and that violence, was directed towards law enforcement officers. And so, I think it's clear that they deserve the sentences that they received. But by Donald Trump referring to them as hostages and speaking about them sympathetically, he's lending his authority as the former president to their actions. And he's telling Americans, his supporters, that I'm going to continue to support you and I'll do everything I can. And if I become president, I'll even pardon you if you can commit acts of violence on my behalf.
What's your response to Republicans, particularly those Republicans who responded to the Washington Post University of Maryland poll, who are growing more sympathetic to the insurrectionists?
I don't know what to say to them, and quite frankly, I don't think there is anything to say. They've made their decision. We're 3 years out from the January 6th insurrection. We had the benefit of a bipartisan January 6th Select Committee investigation, which really rolled out the evidence supporting the fact that it was, in fact, an insurrection, that it was intentional, and that it was pre-planned by Donald Trump and members of his administration. If they can't see the facts for what they are, then they have aligned themselves and become part of the MAGA insurrectionist Republican Party.
Seen that, heard that. Good. Both of these men, and I say men loosely, are just propagandists for the left. This guy, this police officer, who's fighting for America's souls, to make America's souls better. This is the one cop's journey to make America's soul better. Like this is what you're doing. This guy is a grifter, right? Grifter. He's getting rich okay, off of this one cop's story to save America's soul when it comes to January 6th. That's what he's doing. I mean, and then this one crying like a little B-I-T-C-H, B-I-T-C-H. Working on my salvation, y'all, so I can't drop the B word. I'm trying not to drop the B word, but I can spell it though. Yeah, this one is a little B-I-T-C-H, okay? And this is what he's crying. I'm gonna try to get through this here interview. I'm gonna try to get through this because it's so detrimental to our society. It's so emotional. All these things that we've seen, these insurrectionists, and they drop the word insurrectionist. I don't know how many times. The insurrectionist, the insurrectionist, the insurrectionist. And as we've seen within the last 3 years since January 6th, all of those riots happening in the courts, inside of the courts, right? All the LGBT stuff inside of the courts, inside of the capitals, inside of those sacred places. Happens all the time. Never have I heard the word insurrectionist. Never have I heard the word insurrection. Oh, no, they just peaceful protesters. They just expressing their First Amendment rights. That's what they doing. They just talking about their rights. How dare you call them insurrectionists? You defined what insurrectionist was. And so January 6th will always be the insurrectionist. But everything else we see across the country, it's just peaceful protest, friends. It's just peaceful protest. Oh, there was one, Rashida Tlaib. She was inside of the Capitol in reference to this Hamas war. They didn't call her an insurrectionist. They didn't call her that. She weren't prosecuted. She weren't thrown in jail. She weren't locked up, her and everybody else that she brought in with her that day. No, they weren't. No. They just expressing their First Amendment rights. That's what they doing. Insurrectionists, though. The insurrectionists. I'm so afraid of the mob. The Trump mob. Girl pair. So I'm going to leave you with Crying Van in the infamous clip of him crying because Joe Biden, his Lord and Savior, was put into office. And he had just had to express himself. And he had no other way to express himself than to cry, because character matters, because the election matters, because black men matters, because I don't know, everything matters. Crying Van, ladies and gentlemen, Crying Van.
It's well, it's easier to be a parent this morning. It's easier to be a dad. It's easier to tell your kids character matters. It matters. Telling the truth matters. Being a good person matters. And it's easier for a whole lot of people. If you're Muslim in this country, you don't have to worry if the president doesn't want you here. If you're an immigrant, you don't have to worry if the president's going to be happy to have babies snatched away or send dreamers back for no reason. This is vindication for a lot of people who have really suffered. You know, the I can't breathe. You know, that wasn't just George Floyd. That was a lot of people that felt that they couldn't breathe. Every day you're waking up and you're getting these tweets and you just don't know, and you're going to the store and people who have been afraid to show their racism are getting nastier and nastier to you, and you're worried about your kids and you're worried about your sister. And can she just go to Walmart and get back into her car without somebody saying something to her? And you spent so much of your life energy just trying to hold it together. And this is a big deal for us just to be able to get some peace and have a chance for a reset. and the character of the country matters, and being a good man matters. I just want my sons to look at this. Look at this. It's easy to do it the cheap way and get away with stuff, but it comes back around. It comes back around, and this is a good day for this country. I'm sorry for the people who lost. For them, it's not a good day, but for a whole lot of people, it's a good day.
Seen that, heard that, good. Thank you so much for staying until the end of the video. Really appreciate it. All of your support, comments, and so on. I'm really appreciative of it. So I want to say thank you. God bless you. God keep you. And I'll see you in another video.